So I've recently noticed a trend where organizations are using no-code, low-code systems to build out automations and integrate with AI, systems like N8N or even Jotform. And I do applaud the effort. And I think that these tools are excellent for proof of concepts. Where I would ask you to consider is there are three areas really: scalability, the cost factor, and of course, risk mitigation. So from a scalability perspective, what you'll see happening in a low code, no code environment is that these transactions or these calls have to happen via queue, one at a time. Whereas in a customized system, we can simultaneously create those calls. And so you don't have that latency lag, or it causes your system to time out and break. And obviously that could be detrimental to your overall business operations. And then the cost, which is where that comes in. So if you're running something like 40,000 executions, and you might think, wow, that's a big number, I'll never get there. Just one system that runs 10 different steps, that would be 4,000 customers. Or if you have 10 different automation tools and each of those have 10 steps, that's only 400 customers. So you can get to these automation limits or hit these limits very quickly, actually. And that would cost you 40,000 executions, somewhere like 800 US. Whereas if you had that in a custom coded environment, that would run you $10 to $20 a month. So if you're building out these systems across your organization, you can see where that can really balloon, especially if you have like a few systems in 3 or 4 departments and each of those have executions, essentially it become a tangled web from a scalability perspective, but it will also blow the cost solution out of the water versus the efficiency you're supposed to be getting from the solution. And then from a risk perspective, I say, let's assume that your team has, or various individuals have the paid versions, which is great because you've mitigated some of the data leakage or being trained in other environments. But if they're integrating with your systems, do you have the proper security protocols in place to protect your customers' information? Do you have the proper security in terms of your own systems and the integrity and ensuring that they're not subject to crashes and mashing up your whole business essentially? And the final element, I mean, risk is a huge consideration, and there's so many different areas. But if one of your employees, well, let's use any system. If they stop carrying a feature and that feature is no longer available, that was rudimentary for your business, then you can't transfer the logic that was there to your business. So that ends up really, well, you'll be lost, right? So you can't transfer the logic, the code. It's not yours, and it's their system to be able to change those elements. So I think that's something to consider from a risk perspective. But in addition to that, how are you going to then transfer that information into your own operations? Most of the companies that start with low code, no code, within 2 years, they're converting into customized system. And the cost of these migrations are anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000 US. Now, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Go to Google, go to Claude, go to Gemini, go to Copilot, ChatGPT, and ask what are the long-term benefits of your custom coding versus your low-code, no-code systems, and what do they recommend. And you might find yourself in a much better position 1 year down the road than if you try to cut corners initially, especially from a development perspective. So I hope that's helpful. And until next time, Simone from Webstyles.